I believe that branded entertainment will soon replace advertising as common today, which is disruptive advertising, because disruptive advertising gets in the way of what consumers want to see, and branded entertainment, as I will explain, it seamlessly embeds brands' messages into what consumers want to watch. So I think that that's going to be the next trend moving forward.
My name is Mike Roberts. I'm a digital marketing strategist. You can check out my video blog at allegorydesign.com.
To begin with, I'll touch on a bit of the history of branded entertainment as we've seen it so far. We've seen it in product placement, and we've seen it with soapboxes as two examples. Product placement being things like BMW partnering with James Bond and giving them, something like 18 new cars for their latest film, so that the film can actually be used in the movies. And what that does is it creates a brand for BMW that they want to be associated with. And for soapboxes, originally in the 1950s, brands created entire shows that were catered towards housewives who are at home, and they were trying to sell them soaps and other types of household goods. And so they created stuff that housewives wanted to watch so that they could sell them products. So those two examples of where we've seen it in the past. These have been both very effective, but advertisers haven't relied on using these methods because it's more difficult than traditional advertising as we would consider it today. And it's also, the disruptive advertising has still been able to work for a long time. We haven't been able to see how effective or ineffective their disruptive advertising has been. And historically, there were a lot fewer advertisers, so the messages that they were sending out were not as crowded. So we see that the battle for attention and trust has really increased since then. And you see that the old model, maybe there's a few TV stations, a few radio stations, and a few newspapers perhaps that would send out a message or send out communication to the whole population. And so it was just a few advertisers and a few channels that were trying to communicate to everyone. So it was easy to get your message across, and there's also relatively fewer advertisers. So whole industries and whole businesses were built on this model, but that's changing because now we have TV and email and social and apps and mobile and a whole long list of other channels, as well as points of contact with customers. And so now customers are getting something like 15,000 messages a day, which means that each message is getting less and less attention. And so there's a huge attention problem. But even beyond just trying to get attention today, brands need to do more than that. They need to build trust. So Seth Godin mentions that you can't just, the only thing more challenging to get attention today is to get trust. And that's where branded entertainment really steps above and beyond disruptive advertising, because it allows brands to build trust with their consumers. You don't want to be the kid who shouts in class. Everyone knows that you're there, but no one wants to really be your friend. So you want to find a way to entertain them rather than merely get their attention. So in the effort to capture not just attention, but trust, brands have started to entertain their customers. And advertising that has become enjoyable to watch has become much more common. And the challenge here is that many brands are not in the entertainment business. So they sell a product or a service of some sort, and a lot of the brands themselves, as well as the agencies they hire, they don't have a lot of experience with this area. But you see some really successful examples out there. Dos Equis has created this icon called the most interesting man in the world, and he is, kind of is this very suave guy, and he says a lot of quotes, and they're very interesting and funny and engaging. They have nothing to do with beer. So then he'll look at the camera and he'll say, "Stay thirsty, my friend." So he'll say something like, running in place is not nearly as effective as running from a lion. Stay thirsty, my friends. And it's hilarious the way he delivers it and the way they produce it. And so it causes people to not only enjoy watching it, but actually look forward to when they see another advertisement. So they ran an advertisement campaign on Pandora, and whenever I heard that Pandora stopped playing music and started playing a commercial, I was hoping that it was going to be one of their commercials and looking forward to it. And Old Spice has done something similar. They've become a part of pop culture because their advertisements are hilarious. They'll have someone in, a guy in their bathrobe or in their towel, and it just creates some really funny advertisements. And so it causes people to not only enjoy watching it, but they actually, me and friends and many people I've talked to have actually searched out on YouTube to find more Old Spice advertisements. And so here you have this paradigm shift where customers were, and still are in some places, getting disrupted by what they want to see. Like, they want to see something, they're being disrupted. Here, customers are seeking out these advertisements. And so it's a really valuable thing here. BMW takes it a step farther, and they make small, short movies, 15 minutes long or so. They put them online on YouTube and other places. And they don't describe any features in the film or in these movies, and they are up to 15 minutes long. And so they were able to capture consumers' attention for up to 15 minutes instead of 30 seconds like in a commercial. And they're able to build a very high-quality brand based on entertaining their customers. And so it looks straight out of like a James Bond film, and you see them racing through, like San Francisco, and they all have basic plots like, there's a good guy who's driving the BMW, and he's trying to get to the bad guy before, they hurt someone or something like that. And then it has this epic race car scene showing off, the handling and the speed and acceleration. But they don't put any features in here like, it can get to 60 miles per hour in this many seconds, or where you can buy one. They don't talk about any of that. It's about, so that's where this form of entertainment is really good for branding, not just for feature selling. Banana Republic has done something innovative with Mad Men. They've had a strategic partnership where Banana Republic's designer has also designed the clothing in Mad Men, and there's no better salesman for Banana Republic than having Don Draper, dressed in their latest clothing line, living his suave Manhattan lifestyle. And so this partnership has been very beneficial for both companies, and as they cross-promote. But it's advertising through entertainment here. Red Bull has taken a step farther as well, and they've become almost more of a media company than a product company. So they've, they're in the energy drink business, they're in the drink business, but they're really trying to target active lifestyle people that are involved in snowboarding and surfing and kiteboarding and jumping out of airplanes and all kinds of things like that. And so they create this multimedia that is of all of that kind of stuff, and they've been doing it for years. And this isn't really something new. Oakley's been doing the same thing. But what's new that Red Bull's doing is to the degree that they're doing it. So they've created a whole facility in LA that is dedicated, a whole division of the company dedicated to doing this. And so they're really pioneering this space in that way, and they can rival just about any company in the space, they're leading this space actually. And the last thing in this section is the green screen product placement is becoming possible. So when I was at the Interactive Day San Diego conference this last summer in 2012, I talked with a director or VP from ComScore named Philip Grote, and really great guy. As we were talking about all this stuff and what we've seen, he mentioned that when he saw a movie in Germany and he saw a movie in the United States. When he saw it in the United States, when a character in the movie opened up the fridge, there was American beer inside. When he saw the exact same movie in Germany, when the same character opened up the fridge, it was German beer that was only available in Germany. And so what they're able to do is, if they film the movie with a green screen in certain places like that, they're able to change out the products later and implement something that is regionally specific or something that is, so now all of a sudden there's a higher relevancy, and brands can actually start advertising for things or embedding in movies and TV shows down the road maybe. They're starting to be able to embed stuff that is only for certain regions and for maybe only certain time periods. So this extra relevance is really important important to be able to bring in more revenue. So that's going to be able to make up for a lot of the extra costs that this branded entertainment runs companies. And so I think that's going to be a big source for a new revenue stream in the future. So another big trend that we see that's kind of going alongside of the rest of this is the detailed analytics that we can draw from digital advertising, from digital everything really. So you see companies like Amazon that are really pioneering the space of behavioral targeting. So behavioral targeting is basically looking at what consumers do online and then trying to tie advertisements to their specific activities. So you see someone looking for digital cameras on Amazon, and then they send you an email saying, were you looking for one of these products, and it shows you a list of digital cameras. Or after you go from Amazon's website, searching through their cameras, then you go to another couple of other sites, and then they're able to show advertisements on those sites as well that are related to digital cameras. So things like that are possible, and people have been using those more and more often, but they're available today. And then you also see companies like Brightcove, which offer white label solutions where you're able to show an advertisement either on the side or below or right around the video player. And so you see that you can customize advertisements on that as well. So you can take the data that Amazon uses, for example, and they can find out where consumers live. Do they live in New York? Do they live in San Diego? Demographic, psychographic information. How old are they? What are their tastes? Do they like to fish? Do they like whatever? And so now today, this is already possible where you can start targeting fishermen that are 50 years old that live in Canada in some part. And so that's all happening today. The future of where this happens is taking it the next step is when you're able to embed targeted product placement into media. So what that means is much more along the lines of this green screen functionality where you're going to be able to take data from consumers and be able to customize it on like Netflix perhaps, where you want to show an advertisement to certain groups of people, so whatever happens to me in the fridge is catered towards a certain demographic that watches it, and it's different. So the movie actually changes, or the TV show actually changes based on who's watching it. So it's going to be much more effective. And so all of this costs a lot of money, but you see that large revenues justify the costs. And really what it comes down to is if you make more money from it, it'll justify the extra expense. So if you make enough from it, it'll justify the extra expense if the revenue is more than the cost. So we see examples like Harley-Davidson. When Terminator 2 came out with Arnold Schwarzenegger, their sales skyrocketed. Now Harley-Davidson didn't help produce the movie or anything like that, but it shows you the powerful effect that having this kind of branded entertainment has. And their sales went through the roof. And not only that, it created a much stronger brand after that, because what happens after the movie is shown in the theaters. People, becomes a part of pop culture. People watch the reruns on TV. They rent movies, for years after it's come out in the theaters, and you can watch it for years and years to come. And that's also why BMW does, the partnerships with 007. And so, because these are not disruptive forms of advertising, they are in fact that much more effective, as we've seen. And being able to embed your brand into popular culture is such a benefit long term. So it's a long-term strategy that it actually is worth the cost, because executives are going to call out, what is the cost of all this? And it's true that the costs are exorbitant. Especially if you're talking about developing hit TV shows like Mad Men or things of that sort. The costs are very high, but you also can find new revenue streams potentially. So on the large scale, you can sell the content that you're producing. So much like a movie, you can sell it in a movie theater, and you have a set up system already for distributing and selling that. On a smaller scale, you have something that's more like Netflix, where it's maybe an online subscription-based model. But you're able to actually create a new revenue stream by charging people for the content itself, not just for the product that you're selling. And all also what you can do is you can work up to this. So maybe at the beginning, no one can really justify, funding a whole movie or funding, a TV show, or those are very expensive, very lofty. But maybe you start off with a much smaller scale. Maybe you start off, on YouTube, and with the falling production costs today, and with talent, becoming widely available that can produce these things, and you see small media companies that can actually find a larger voice on things like YouTube than mainstream producers have on much larger, primetime stations. And so, because of this falling production and falling distribution costs, YouTube is free after all. You can start getting into the game and work your way up there. And as this is going to be far more effective than disruptive advertising, as we talked about earlier. And as you see this greater effectiveness, you're going to see return on that. And as you see that, you can reinvest it into this type of advertising, and then you can kind of scale up to some of the more of these lofty ideas. And the last is along the same lines of implementation. You can reduce risk with strategic partnerships. So when it comes to being able to foresee potential risk by venturing into a business that you don't have a core competency in. For example, with Banana Republic and Mad Men. Banana Republic is not an entertainment company, but Mad Men, the producers of it, are very good at storytelling. That's their specialty. Banana Republic is in fashion. So they bring the core competencies together and they reduce the risk of it not working out because of that expertise and partnership. So that's another good way to get in by bringing other people on board that are experts in their particular niche. So overall, branded entertainment I think is on the rise. I think it's much more effective than disruptive advertising. And I thank you for watching. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. And I'd love to interact with you about some of this stuff. Thanks again for watching.